Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are making some rainbow cookies. These cookies are an Italian classic. They're called rainbow cookies or 7-layer cakes. So I actually learned this recipe in culinary school. I'm gonna need some almond paste, our butter, 13 ounces of butter, some sugar, some all-purpose flour. You're gonna need a lot of eggs. This recipe calls for 17 ounces of eggs. That's roughly about 8 or 9 eggs, depending on the size eggs you use. You're gonna need some food coloring. So I have some green and pink here. Typical rainbow cookies takes, you'll see like the cookie will be red. One of the colors will be red. I don't like to use red. For one, I like pink. It takes a lot to make red. When you use a lot of red, it gives off a funny taste. There are some red food colorings that say no taste red, but I am just using my pink. This is how I've been making them. You're also gonna need a scale. You wanna definitely make sure you have your scale available. This is something you definitely can make in advance, and you also want to, it also freezes really well. So you're also gonna need some chocolate. You're gonna need some chocolate to make our glaze. You're also gonna need some raspberry preserves. So you're gonna need 3/4 sheet pans. And I'm just gonna spray each pan and line them with parchment paper. And spray the parchment paper, and then I'll put these to the side. Now I wanna measure out my eggs. This recipe calls for 17 ounces of eggs. So depending on the size you use, I like extra large eggs. You're gonna need about 8 or 9 eggs. So I cracked enough eggs to give me roughly 17 ounces, and I beat them first and then I took out the excess. So this recipe calls for us to use the creaming method, and that's just us creaming our butter and our sugar together. Because we're using almond paste, we're also going to cream the almond paste with our butter and sugar. So first I'm just creaming my butter to give it a head start. I'm scraping down my bowl, and then I'm gonna add my almond paste and sugar. Because the almond paste is so thick, we add just a little bit of the eggs that we already beat together just to make the mixing process easier. So we add our almond paste to our butter and our sugar. We add our eggs, and we combine all of this until it's nice and smooth. You're also gonna have to scrape down your bowl about 1 or 2 times just to make sure everything is nice and smooth. You don't wanna see any large lumps of the almond paste in your mixture. Also, just to note, you wanna make sure your almond paste is at room temperature. It makes the mixing process a lot easier as well. So after your mixture is combined and it's nice and smooth, you wanna add the eggs slowly. Because we already beat the eggs up, you just wanna drop a little bit of the eggs at a time and make sure it's combined completely while scraping your bowl down every now and again until you have finished adding all of your eggs. So I apologize, I thought it was recording where I show you how I put my eggs in, but it's the typical creaming method. Once you add your eggs one at a time, making sure everything is combined completely. Once we make sure everything is combined and nice and smooth, we add our flour, and we're just gonna beat this until it's combined. So now that my mixture is done, now I need to divide it into 3 equal portions. I've made this recipe so many times, so I know that 1 portion should be about 1 pound, 5.5 ounces. And that's just what I'm doing. So I'm gonna put 2 portions in a bowl because I'm gonna color 2 bowls. 1 bowl will be pink, 1 bowl will be green. And then the last portion I won't color, and I'll just add that directly to my pan. So now I'm just gonna spread the batter evenly on this first sheet pan. And I'm using my offset spatula. This is gonna be a thin layer of batter. So just spread it evenly. And that offset spatula really is the best tool to use for this. So now I'm ready to color 1 portion of my batter with the green food coloring. I'm using a liquid gel food coloring. Just to be clear, you don't want to use a food coloring from the supermarket that they sell like in a 4-pack or something like that. So you color it to get the shade that you want, and then we spread it out evenly on our sheet pan. We'll color the last portion with some pink, and we're going to spread that out as well, and then we're ready to bake them off. For the pink food color, I'm using a soft gel paste. Again, you can use a red if you like. Before we bake these in the oven, I'm just going to take my offset spatula and go around all sides of the pan, and this will help it to release easier once the cakes have baked. We're going to bake these at 375 for roughly 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'm going to rotate the pans. And because these pans are smaller, I'm going to put 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom and space them out. And after about 15 minutes after I check them, I'm going to rotate the pans and put 1 pan on top and the other 2 at the bottom. I'll let these pans cool and I'll plastic wrap them and finish them up tomorrow. So now that my cake is done, I'm going to use my offset spatula and just go all around the cake to release it, so it will actually release easier when I try to take the cake out the pan. So here I just had a piece of parchment paper directly on my cake, and then I put the cake board on top and just flipped it over. And as you can see, I have a piece of parchment paper on my counter with my cooling rack, and that's going to collect any crumbs. It's going to come in handy when I top my cake with the chocolate. So here I just have some parchment paper strips, and I'm just putting them on each side of the cake. This allows your cake board to stay clean. And because we're going to use chocolate to top the cake off, you just want your cake board to be clean. And then once it's done, and this is how you do any cake, you just remove the parchment paper and you have a nice cake board, nice clean cake board. So now I'll put another cake board on top and flip it over again. I'll remove that parchment paper and that cake board, and then I'll just adjust the paper and the cake to make sure the cake is placed evenly on a cake board. But this is how I do a lot of my cakes. Well, all my cakes actually, especially if I'm making it for somebody. Use that parchment paper to keep your cake board nice and clean. So now I'm just spreading a nice layer of raspberry preserves on the first layer. Then I'm going to take my second layer and put it directly on top of that first layer. Take off that parchment paper and put another layer of the raspberry preserves. And I do this with the final layer. Put it directly on top of that cake. Take off that parchment paper and put another layer of preserves. Some videos you'll see that they don't put the raspberry on this layer. I like raspberry on each layer. Actually, this is one reason they call it a 7-layer cake. That's another name that they call it. And you have 3 layers of cake, 3 layers of the preserves, and 1 layer of the chocolate. So I'm actually melting down some chocolate over a double boiler, and I'm adding some peanut oil to it. You can use any oil you like, and you can use any chocolate you like. So you can use bittersweet, semi-sweet, milk chocolate, and I'm just going to melt that down till it's nice and smooth. So you let it cool down for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. You don't want it to get thick again, and you just pour it directly on your cake. With your offset spatula, we'll spread that chocolate around. I'm going to tap the cooling rack on the counter just to get rid of any air bubbles. So I'll pop the cake in the freezer for about 5 minutes just so that chocolate can firm up. You don't want to cut the cake while the chocolate is still wet. Once my chocolate has firmed up, I'm just going to go and cut all the edges off to give me nice smooth edges, nice clean edges, and get rid of some of those hard ends. These cookies are typically served in bite-sized pieces, so feel free to cut them as big or as small as you like. That's it, guys. Delicious rainbow cookies that are perfect for the holidays. These cookies are on the gourmet side, so this is gonna really wow your guests when you show up with some fresh baked rainbow cookies. If you have any questions or comments about these rainbow cookies, let me know about it in the comment section below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out when I upload new baking videos. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.